Oh! We were talking backstage. We've met a couple times because you hosted SNL, or didn't host, but you were a musical guest in 2010 and 2011. You don't do a lot of talking on talk shows.
No, I get really nervous and I get quite shy, so yeah,
All right.
I get a bit scared, but I'm gonna try.
Okay, good. Well, one thing you did, I guess this wasn't unique to this show. I guess you do this all the time, but I went to the dressing room to say hello before the show. It's the same dressing room every night. It doesn't look any different, except tonight when I walked in, you had completely redecorated. There were a lot of scarves.
We moved the mirror around a bit, and yeah, I don't know, I have quite a strong sense of aesthetic. I don't know if that comes across.
Yeah. When you walk into a room that no one has touched and you've completely rearranged it, it came across.
Some people say it's obsessive, but
Obsessive would be if I called you after you left and was like, you didn't put it back exactly right.
But it looks better.
Well, okay, it looks a little better, yeah. But that's something you do when you're on tour?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of collect throws, and there's lots of patterns and embroidery, and but it's also a nice thing to do when you arrive anywhere. I spend like a good half an hour just kind of decorating and settling it.
Can you go over to friends' houses and leave it alone?
It's hard, no. I stay at home a lot. I wish that was a joke.
Obviously you can't stay at home all the time because you're going out on tour. Australia, New Zealand, you're coming here to the States, you're doing the Barclays. Do you like the road? Do you like the big shows?
The shows are they're so important to me. It's where everything comes together, and I don't know, it's kind of like how I make sense of myself in a way, but also I feel I've been doing it for a while, and I feel kind of really honored, because sometimes you really get to see the best in people at a show. I'm up there and like, everybody, tell each other that you love each other. Tell people you don't know you love each other. And you just see everybody is so up for it. And yeah, so it's so important to me, the live aspect, and connection is such a big part of that. And when you feel like you're taking everyone somewhere with you, it's a very collaborative thing, I think, a gig.
And it must be nice, obviously, to now be known. You know, I'm sure in your early gigs, people didn't know who you were, and if you told them to go tell each other to love each other, they're like, that weird lady is being very bossy.
I don't know, I was very drunk mostly, so I was definitely still being bossy, but I don't think I minded if people didn't do it.
But this is very early on, you knew you wanted to be a performer. This is not something you came to late in life. I've read that when you were 8 years old, you would put on your mom's robes and sing Billie Holiday with a wine glass full of orange juice. So you were what? Like, you wanted all of rock music early on.
Yeah, I was like, I know what I'm gonna be, and it involves drinking and being sad, and I went there.
Yeah, you know, it's nice when an 8-year-old finds their dreams.
Yes. I was like 8, and I knew that it would involve a wine glass.
Oh my God. Also, as an 8-year-old, being like, Billie Holiday, that's someone who gets me.
Yeah, it was like Billie Holiday, like Etta James, Nina Simone, you know, those were the first voices that I was really drawn to.
Well, that's fantastic. I remember, you know, the first time I heard you sing, and I also remember hearing the band name and being like, wow, Florence and the Machine, that's a fantastic band name. It was not your first band, but it maybe was your first good band name. What was your first band?
My first band was at school, and I was 11, and I had a punk band called the Toxic Cockroaches.
Okay.
But we only had a drum kit. I was the guitarist, but I didn't have a guitar, and the only instrument we had was a drum kit.
Okay, so what does a guitarist without a guitar hold?
Not much, yeah, not much. I held a lot of enthusiasm.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Yeah.
That comes across today.